reading habit is very low in India. So we try to go to self-help books.
Exactly, sir. No one is going to read Bhagavad Gita, sir.
I think sometimes bad books are, portrayed as good books because newspapers are sold out. The media is sold out. They write fake reviews. We have this identity crisis. So we try to create an identity of Indians. We try to create an identity of Hindi-speaking population. So we keep fighting. We are talking about this. I want to make clear we are not philosophers, or
yes. We are not philosophers.
We are just having we are also trying to understand, and we are also discussing based on our individual level of understanding. So
with whatever simple level that we have about these concepts, we are trying to just strike out a discussion that will help you people as well as help us. Hi guys, welcome to the second episode of A Little More Light. We have with us our guru, our master, Vinay sir with us. Very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Sudeep.
Today, the topic of discussion that we will be doing is ideologies, philosophies and principles.
Last time we had wonderful conversation. So excited to have another wonderful conversation today.
Thank you so much, sir. And it's indeed a pleasure to all the insighteans who are tuning in today. I hope you people will learn some amount of content with this that you can use in your exams as well as in your life. So today, ideologies, philosophies and principles is a very broad concept. So in that, we'll try to keep it very simple. We'll try to keep it very relevant to your life and the students' lives. Okay. So with that, sir, so today we are talking about ideologies, philosophies and principles. So basically, let us talk about these principles and ideologies. Let us talk about how it's influencing us, our behaviors and our actions. And more importantly, what is the relevance of these ideologies and principles in the current day's time, especially in an Indian society. So coming to you with the first aspect that I want to talk to you about is, what importance do you attach for these ideologies, philosophies and principles in shaping an individual's identity? You can take your own personal ways of dealing with it and let us know, sir.
Yeah, right. So as we know, principles, they are more individualistic. So they are more personal, right?
Correct,
so
sir.
I have my own principles. And ideology, it depends under which environment we are growing and we have grown up. Political ideology can influence us. Certain religious ideology can influence us. And when it comes to philosophy, one can have personal philosophy based on their principles, as well as if they have read Western, Eastern or Indian philosophy, they can adhere to certain philosophy.
Correct, sir.
There is also political philosophy, moral philosophy, right? So their philosophy is attached to all of the disciplines in the life. So when it comes to my personal life, I've been influenced by Jiddu Krishnamurti philosophy. Basically, what he says is that these ideologies and these religion principles. So basically, what they do is that they imprison us in a way that they don't liberate us in terms of our individualistic thinking or creativity. So when you stick to particular ideology, it becomes difficult to think beyond that ideology, because that ideology is nothing but certain framework. That ideology wants you to stick to certain factors within it, certain rules within it. So then what happens? You are scared to think beyond.
Okay.
Or even if you are not scared, even if you don't have fear, you have limited your thinking. You are not giving any work to your brain because you think that is the truth and that is the reality. So in being influenced by his philosophy, because philosophy is not like that. Philosophy is more about asking questions,
Correct,
exploring the world.
Correct.
What we call epistemology, or going to the root of everything, to know the fundamentals of everything, asking the questions for unknown questions. So when I read and when I heard about this philosophy, I was actually influenced. And why I was influenced, in Navodaya school, we had a chapter, by Jiddu Krishnamurti on education. So at that time, it had impacted me, his very idea of education. So his very idea of education was, again, liberating, giving freedom to people to learn whatever they want without restricting them. So I had actually liked it. So then as I entered into UPSC preparation, internet came, we were able to watch videos. I was able to read few of his books. So then I stopped believing in any particular religious ideology or strictly adhering to any political ideology as well.
Correct, sir.
Right. So that is how, whereas principles, they keep changing, as my maturity level grows. And I think similar experience maybe for you also, for others also, right? So principles, maybe with respect to, maintaining time discipline, for example, being on time, I try to maintain as much as possible. And giving time to family.
Correct.
That is one principle. Personal life I truly believe in. I want to give more time to families. I don't compromise with that. Similarly, giving time to students, institutions, and these are some of the principles which impact my day-to-day happiness or satisfaction. I try to maintain them. So otherwise, I'm not much of a disciplined guy.
Fair enough, sir. So what you're trying to tell is there is philosophy is exploration of the truth. So with the exploration of the truth, we'll be able to set up our own principles in life.
Correct.
So principles are more individualistic, which gets influenced from the different philosophies that are there in our environment.
Yes.
And at a broader level, we have ideologies. So what you're telling is ideologies are more inhibiting rather than facilitators.
True.
So you feel that, sir, but what about this? If there is no ideology, don't you think that there is going to be an identity crisis for an individual when that person is still in a formative stage? You're able to understand that ideology is inhibiting, it constrains the innovation. But in the formative stage, don't you think that ideology is the one that will shape an individual's identity, sir? That gives a sort of security for that individual to feel that they are there in their own, environment, which is their own.
Again, with respect to identity, personally, again, I don't believe in identifying ourselves based on certain ideology.
Okay, sir.
So that is also kind of limiting your own individual growth or capacity.
Correct.
Right. What you can explore, the inner potential. So those who are trying to get certain identity, so I think it should be based on, for example, what are the identities we have? For example, one in the Indian context, the caste identity.
Correct, sir.
Right. And then language identity we have, the regional identity from where we come, religion.
Correct.
That is also an identity we have. And when I'm in Karnataka, what is my identity? So I am not identified as Kannadiga.
Okay.
So within Karnataka, my identity is that I belong to certain caste.
Okay.
XYZ caste. Like if you are discussing in a community, right? Or if I am coming from a middle Karnataka or Davangere or something like that. So when I go outside Karnataka, my identity becomes different. He is from Karnataka or he is Kannadiga. So people are least bothered about my caste. Similarly, when I move out of the country, so it is Indian. So Americans won't be bothered if I am from Karnataka or Tamil Nadu, right?
Okay.
So that is one set of identity. So now what is happening in India or in most of the democracies, these political ideologies are overriding all other identities.
Correct, sir.
So when you go to village, there is this, BJP faction and then Congress faction. So in fact, I have seen people, naming based on which party they have, subscribed to, party's ideology.
Correct,
so it is becoming predominant that, society is getting polarized, divided. But within them, we have these sub-identities. So all these identities, I believe, are not good for humans.
Okay, sir.
Right. We have to discover our own identity. Like identity based on profession, it can be like an artist, a teacher, as a painter, as a some other professional. So we are not giving adequate time to
exploring
ourselves. So that identity has taken a complete backseat. So I think the growing individualism maybe towards in that direction. But again, that it's a very complex situation.
I understand, sir. So basically what you are telling is that political ideology is taking over the different realms of Indian society.
Plus the religious ideologies. That is also
plus the religious ones. Okay. But what I was getting at is Western society is already there. For example, if you take USA, so whenever you go to any place in USA, you have the Republicans, then you have the Democrats. So basically what we are trying to see the two factions in the Indian scenario, that has happened long back in the Western society. So are you seeing the same thing happening in Indian society, or is it something different?
Unfortunately, it is happening. It is happening because if you look at political scenario in village, during the election, all other identities melt down. Right. So the decision of a voter ultimately rests on which political ideology the family members, the majority of the family members or head of the family member is subscribed to. Right. So that we are seeing, but thanks to our country being very diverse, and I think it will take many more years. But still people vote based on the caste lines that we
Correct,
are
sir.
seeing, in the more backward regions we are seeing that. So in more forward, more developed regions, it is purely political ideology, maybe of a leader, and we also seeing this populist ideology of an individual, a very powerful leader, his ideology, so his idea of a nation, his idea of development. So that is also in a way
Inhibits.
Yeah. So I think India is moving in that direction, but still a long way to go.
All right. So if that is the case, what is your take on how to liberate this, sir? How to liberate from this trend? If you are telling that the ideology is inhibiting, we are moving towards a society where there is a clear division on the basis of one ideology or two ideologies. How to liberate from this? How to explore ourselves and create
Like
that?
how to explore, like why to explore, like why to liberate. The thing is, what happens is that when you have subscribed to certain ideology, it doesn't allow you to be creative. It doesn't help you come up with original decision making.
Correct.
Right, your decision is always influenced because of this ideology. So you don't choose right person for the job. For example, companies, for example, organizations, so they are also choosing people belonging to certain ideology. Right, here merit takes backseat, efficiency takes backseat. So you want individuals who subscribe to your ideology. They may have compromised character,
Very true, sir.
right, values, but ideology is aligning with your ideology. So our institutions are suffering, our politics is suffering, and in a way our society is decaying. So because of this too much of overdose of ideology, because of technology, all this, not because of technology, because political parties are using technology and religions are using more of technology to disseminate, to propagate all their ideologies. Every day we are bombarded with these things. So increasingly this polarization is impacting the health of our society and morality of our society. That is what I'm believing.
So, sir, if we come on how to go about liberating this is a long way to go. There is still no definite answer
how
for
to
it.
go. I mean, there is a definite answer in terms of giving freedom to our children, in schools and
The upbringing
colleges.
part. Yes, sir.
Yeah, upbringing. Like in our schools and colleges are also, they may not be subscribing into political and this religious ideology, but they have their own idea of education. An ideology that describes what kind of education should be given. So we have some idea saying that more focus on vocational education, trying to link industry with academia, supply more workforce to the industry, and the idea of education as given by Rabindranath Tagore or Krishnamurti or even Radhakrishnan, so that we are not practicing. Even Gandhi,
And
Nayi
Vivekananda,
Talim, and all that kind of education. So our brand of education nowadays is, for example, we know in UPSC, whenever people come for admission, they don't have the habit of reading newspapers.
Correct, sir.
They don't have the habit of developing any extracurricular activities, be it painting, singing, dancing, reading or writing or sports or anything. Very few people. So what it has done is that any individual, why they are individual, they have innate capabilities, talents. So we are not giving any freedom to explore those hidden talents and their true potential. So thereby it is limiting their ability to discover their own identities.
Correct, sir.
Right. So the education system is also in a way limiting. So we have people coming for IAS, IPS, never explored their lives. Right. And IAS becomes identity. That is unfortunate, right? That creates elitist class.
Very true.
And getting into IAS and IPS, we have seen what people, some of them do, right?
And so coming to the civil servant aspect, so since a lot of our viewers are aspiring to become civil servants, so you told that within the society there is so much of bias towards the political ideologies. What is this impact on the civil services, sir? Do you think that there is an impact, and how do you think the people there are dealing with it?
So it is a hidden impact, I think. I mean, the impact is visible. The way it is impacting is hidden, I think, because after spending like few years into preparation, reading so much about politics, I'm sure even candidates get influenced by politics. And when they enter politics, I think largely in the initial few years, they will stay away from politics, and they will maintain the two cardinal values which I hold very dear for a public servant. One is political neutrality and another one is anonymity.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Somehow they maintain it. But the politics is so overpowering in this country, it won't again give the freedom.
No, sir.
Even for an officer, right? So it expects obedience from you. It expects certain obligations, from you. So whether it is right or wrong, politics has become, again, we owe it to democracy. Too much democracy at people who are in power. No democracy at people who are powerless. At the grassroots level.
Exactly, sir.
So that is how skewed our democracy has become. Once you are in power, like you expect too much of democracy. Like you have to listen to everyone.
Correct, sir.
So I think the officials then go back to their political identities and then they split. Right. So based on which government is in power, and there are, I think, another middle class within officials where it gets adapted, adjusted to whichever party comes to power.
Correct, sir.
So that is also there. Again, that is unfortunate. I have seen very closely, and so we see it. And a very unfortunate thing about our society is that we are afraid to talk about the truth, and we know the truth. We are afraid to express the truth, and even if we express the truth, the way we express is through these talks and discussion debates, and in public very seldom we do this, and we don't act on the truth.
Correct.
We know an officer is too much politically inclined, and it is impacting his responsibilities and duties, because he will be helping only people belonging to particular ideology.
Correct, sir.
Right. He won't help people coming from another ideology. So we don't complain about it. So these are the issues that we are going through, I think.
Fair enough, sir. So that was a new concept. There's a middle class within the civil services. They are they're like us. They are trapped. They have to be accommodative to whoever comes to power.
What I like to call is that they have sold out their souls or something. So there is another class which is, I think, neutral still.
Correct, sir. Correct,
they don't budge to whatever kind of pressure. I think there are upright officials with spine. They're still there.
Very true.
But largely we are seeing these three classes, I think.
Okay, sir. And what sir told is very, very true. The two cardinal values for any public civil servant is one, anonymity, and two is political neutrality. I think that is also elaborated in the civil services code as well, sir. So code of conduct.
Yes.
So that's a very nice thing to put at. So overall, sir, if we take the ideology part, what overall from this discussion that I could derive out is the ideology can be inhibiting. So we should not purely or blindly, focus the entire identity of ourselves into an ideology. Rather, absorb the goodness of it, but keep exploring yourself, explore the truth, and try to refine yourself. Yes, sir?
No, we have to read every ideology out there. We have to read, and we have to be aware of these things in a way, not to subscribe and not to other. But the thing is, we have to be aware of the dangers of these ideologies, right?
Okay, sir.
So that when the next generation is coming up, to our own children, we can give that freedom. I think the most of the wars in the world, right, they happen because of ideologies.
Correct, sir.
Ideological differences.
Correct.
Right. The most of the again, terrorism is also kind of ideology.
Yes, sir. Fascism,
extreme
we have
fascism,
communism.
Communism.
Yes.
Right. So what they have done is that their impact has been immense. The scale of their impact has been global. Right. It is not like very local impact. So some ideologies take the shape of universal. They become universal ideologies, right? Communism, for some time it was universal. Then came the capitalism, and we are seeing what is happening with the capitalism, right? For capitalism in consuming everything, right? Capitalism makes people consumerist, but it itself is consuming politics.
Definitely.
It is consuming religion. It is consuming individual identities. It is consuming individual conscience. People don't act based on the conscience.
Correct, sir.
They act based on what others perceive about them. So all these Instagram, Facebook, they are thriving because they cater to one's need to
Be in the spotlight.
Or project oneself as a better
Perfect
person.
human being.
So this is all impacting our individuality.
Very true, sir. So coming to the next aspect of it. So ideology overall, I think you people have got a clarity on what is it, how is it influencing us, and what should we do as an individual to deal with this.
And again, while we are talking about this, I want to make clear we are not philosophers. Or,
yes, we are not philosophers.
We are just having we are also trying to understand, and we are also discussing based on our individual level of understanding. So
with whatever simple level that we have about these concepts, we are trying to just strike out a discussion that will help you people as well as help us.
Correct.
So to come up with some innovative ways of discussions. As Sir has put forth the middle class of the civil services, that was a very, very new concept to me. But anyways, so this is the ideology part. So now coming to the philosophy aspect of it. So philosophy is all about exploring the truth. So we can say that there are a lot of philosophers in the East, there are a lot of philosophers in the West. So if you try parallel with the West and the East, so in the current age time, do you think that there is a balance, or do you think there is a overlap of the Western philosophy over the Indian philosophy, sir?
So again, when it comes to political philosophy, it is totally Western philosophy. So which is the very idea of democracy. We claim, we had democracy in, Mahajanapadas and even Mahabharata, Ramayana. We try to source.
Correct.
We think that we are where democracy originated. When it comes to like individual philosophy, like what there is a philosophy about truth, there is a philosophy about justice, there is philosophy about freedom, there is philosophy about so many values, philosophy of knowledge, philosophy of happiness and other things. I think we in a way the Indian philosophy, I think it is everywhere. I mean, because it is part of our culture, right? Like respecting our elders, trying to derive our happiness by going for minimalism, for example, and not to be consumerist. So I think it is very much there. But the thing is, it has become a trend, what do you call, to quote Western philosophy or to follow Western philosophy. So as part of everything that is westernized, right? So I don't think everyone is doing it. So if you look at very common men, right? So I think they largely are there and practice what has been preached in the Indian philosophy. When it comes to religious preaching, so we are very much attached. We are very 100%. Much attached to our religious teaching, and we see philosophy mostly from the religious angle.
Correct, sir.
In the Indian context, not from the, as I said, from the concept of freedom, knowledge, right? So going by that notion, I think Indian philosophy is very active and alive at common man level. And when it comes to more educated and more learned people, because maybe they want to explore more, so we see more of Western philosophy, either like Stoicism, for example. Right, nowadays if you look at Instagram reels or something, we see Stoicism, right? So Stoic. So I think that is that was there. Anyway, elements of Stoicism was there as part of
100%, yes,
our Indian philosophy, but we quote Western philosophy.
Exactly, sir. So the same Stoicism, we have aspects of it even in Buddhism, we have aspects of it even in Taoism of China. So these things are there. So that is what I'm coming to the next part of the question. The reason why Stoicism is becoming so much heard, buzzword everywhere, is I feel basically the Western philosophy is being advertised very well, sir. I feel that because the media, the technology is handled by the West, I am feeling that the advertisement of the Western philosophy is far better. The books that are available in Amazon, or the ideas that are portrayed, like this is a alpha male, this is how family should be. So all these ideas are put forth with an attachment that Western ideology is attached to it. So that when the generation Gen Z, what they call, or when the millennials look at these things, because they are more exposed to the social media, I am feeling that is more cooler, or this is the better version of the philosophy than our philosophy. I think that rub-off is taking place, which creates a bias towards our philosophy compared to theirs. This is my take on the philosophical aspects.
Yeah, there is truth in what you are saying. And another thing is that we have educational inequality, right, within our country. Those who have better access to so-called good quality education, which is mostly influenced by, again, the Western demands.
Correct.
So today, if you look at the top schools, right, so what they're trying to do, they are trying to cater to the requirement of foreign universities.
Very true, sir. Yes.
So you send your children to international schools with an intention to, sending them to Oxford, Cambridge, or, Stanford, or MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or Yale, or, all these big top universities, right? So what is happening is that their curriculum is moving away from what is Indian
values,
Indian
also.
Society, Indian values, Indian culture, Indian
yes.
philosophy also. So I think only after going there, if they have interest, they might do some research or anything. But the children are molded or guided in a direction to look into the West, right, away from the East or away from our own Indian culture. So that is maybe another reason. And as you said, the most of the platforms where we are exposed, to the outside world, are the products of the Western culture, right?
Yes, sir.
Instagram, Facebook. So I think Twitter. So what happened? Usually, what happens in the internet? So when you pioneer something, the huge content that is created is always by the people who use it most.
Correct, sir.
For the first people who use it most. So it is obviously the Western people who started using. Instagram became popular later in India, before in the West, right?
And so the algorithm will follow them only. Because they have the more followers.
So they would have created already, content to follow this particular philosophy, follow particular philosopher from the Western. So only later we start adding our own, our own gurus and teachers who are prominently, like including Sadhguru, or I think in the recent times they are coming into limelight and they are also adding their wisdom and content. So I think a large population by then would have influenced by that kind, right? So that is also there. And somewhere in general, the reading habit is very low in India, right? So we try to go to self-help books when we are in distress, when we are in problem, when we want to just improve ourselves. But again, these self-help books, most of them are again
exactly, sir. No one is going to read Bhagavad Gita, sir.
Yeah, right.
There is everyone who is going to read Atomic Habits. Everyone is going to read, a book which is more inclined towards the West.
Correct.
But we have all the solutions here. But since the advertising is much better,
we follow the herd mentality. Like what is prominent in the market, what is prominently displayed, through these algorithms. So we go for it. So unfortunately, we don't have counter mechanism within India to showcase our own. Again, there is also kind of disdain, what you call kind of contempt for our own
yes, sir. That
cultural
is
elements, our own philosophy. We feel it, inferior.
Very true.
Right. So again, there is no good or bad philosophy. There is no superior or inferior philosophy.
Yes.
So we should have an open mind, learn, and we don't have to accept everything, right? So ultimately, what I was trying to say in the beginning, we have to go by our own individual understanding of these philosophies and principles. So to explore the maximum potential that we have within ourselves. So if some philosophy is trying to limit it, discard it. So move to another philosophy which can give you more freedom and happiness.
So sir, what you told as a concept of pioneering effect in social media, that definitely is very valid, because obviously they will have that lead already. So whatever social media influencers who are now popping up within the Indian context, the Indian social media influencers, don't you think it is their responsibility to, at least take pride and to propagate some Indian philosophies at the same value as Western philosophy? Because what I have observed is most of the influencers go along with the algorithm and they go along with the trend. So if some philosophy is making a lot of news, they make sure that they also make a video on that so that the views increases. But it is fine. I know, I can understand that it all depends upon the views that you get, the likes that you get. But don't you think there comes a point where you have to, take it as a responsibility to, advertise or to put forth our philosophies to the youth who are going to watch it?
So I think there are few things here, right? So while you were asking question, I was thinking about it. So why do they do this? So one is basically they are catering to the needs of their audience.
Correct.
Right. They are not doing it for themselves, their own satisfaction. They are doing it for the audience.
Correct.
So they might not have read the Indian philosophy, or they might not be aware of it. Even if they are aware, so basically it is driven by to gain more likes or more engagement. And also I think the thing is what we call hypocrisy. So right, we recommend something and we practice something else.
Very true.
So that we see every day, everywhere. Yeah. So the reason why I think these people do this, one is they are catering to the needs of the others. Secondly, they, while trying to cater to the needs of others, they have forgotten to discover their own best, I think, right? Maybe by reading our own philosophy or whatever it is. It can be philosophy or it can be anything. So the focus, when it is try to show off, there is less focus on self-discovery. So individual conscience is getting impacted. So they're not true to their conscience when they are telling something to the public. So if they are recommending top 3 books, it is not just because they have read it. It is also against
the trends.
It is because of the trends. What the public is demanding. So this is what it is doing is that this is harming in a way all individuals, even the society. It is taking us away from ourselves.
Very true, sir.
Right. So everything becomes superficial. Everything is to attract the attention. So what is happening? That the core is decaying. The core is becoming hollow. The core is emptying out.
Correct, sir.
So on the surface, everything is glowing. So I think these influencers, they are capitalizing on this particular trend everywhere.
True, sir. And one more aspect of it is we one lack the habit of reading, and one more aspect is we also have a dearth of authors who are digging into the Indian philosophies and who are coming out with more innovative ways of propagating it. For example, as you had told in the breaks, Ikigai, it is one of the very famous book of Japanese philosophy. It has become very famous even within India. But we have so many enriching philosophies like that within India. You take the Vedanta philosophy, you take the Dharmakaya philosophy of Buddhism or the Jainism aspects. There are so many different, very, very enriching philosophies. Unfortunately, I feel that there is lack or dearth of authors to give it innovative touch to it.
So what I'm thinking is that instead of saying lack of dearth of authors, I think they might have written in this the way marketing works presently,
sir.
right? To sell a book, to market a book, it takes huge amount of money.
Very true, sir.
It takes backing by influential people, celebrities. So I think those who do not have access to such kind of things, even I think sometimes bad books are portrayed as good books because newspapers are sold out, the media is sold out, they write fake reviews, and there are companies who can write thousands of reviews if you give them money, right? Correct. So I think all of them might have masked, hidden, the real talent. They might have written book that may be, decaying in some shelf in some bookstall or something, and they might have written such kind of things. These publishers may not be coming forward to, publish them. So I think looking at billions of people, I think so. What I see is that talent is only increasing, right? We cannot totally generalize, it is superficial. So there are people who are doing research, because some people will always be driven by interest and passion for something, purpose. So the thing is, the world in a way caters to it is well suited people who know how to market themselves. So I think we are not able to see them. So I think for that we need separate research, I think, right, to identify such people and their work and to start marketing them. So one analogy I can give, in UPSC people read about this tribal art and tribal products, I think.
Correct.
So they are also quality products, more products of more utility. So I think once we started marketing them, people started coming to know about them, right? So I think that is what we need to do. And this is again not about Indian or Western philosophy. It's about ours is also good, theirs is also good.
Correct.
But whatever is good, if it is equally highlighted everywhere, so I think then it becomes good for entire society.
Very true, sir. That is the ideal scenario that we want to get to, where the best of all comes together and it creates that syncretism. Sir, one more aspect, since we were speaking about the marketing aspect, do you think the Indian mentality, the Indian culture, if you take the Indian philosophy and Indian culture, it has never facilitated marketing as a important part of life? Because showmanship is something that is not celebrated in India. It is more, we are more towards collective, where we share each other's problems and good things, but we never act. One person showing something great is something that is not celebrated in India. Do you think that is something of a reason why Indian philosophy has not marketed itself in the entire globe?
So yes, I think this could be one of the, I have thought about it actually. So if you look at our history, we never wrote our own history.
Very true, sir. Very true.
We never wrote our own history, right? So we didn't give importance. There is a perspective which talks about, from the perspective of the time itself.
Very true.
So the importance we gave to the time, or the importance we didn't give to our own, to documenting history at cultural level, at individual level, at family level, even we don't like when somebody is, I think the English word is ostentatious, I think, something, try to show off.
Correct, sir.
We don't like such individuals within our families. I think we are not made very well aware of our own philosophy, culture, from school, college level.
Correct.
So if you go back to our history textbooks and culture textbooks, they try to glorify individuals, right? They try to glorify individual achievements rather than the collective achievement.
Correct.
So entirely whatever we have done, right, achieved. So again, our history books, if you look at, it's a very no man's territory. It's a very dangerous territory to talk about history. and it is always overpowered by what others have documented,
Correct, sir. Very true.
rather than what we have self-discovered about our own history, right? And again, there is bias with respect to that also. If somebody writes our own history, so we attach some kind of ideology to it.
100%, sir.
I mean, that is driven by ideology, the earlier thing which we were discussing. So I think it's we are a civilization, Indian civilization, which is in self-discovery, constantly evolving, trying to discover our own true identity, right? So because of multiple identities, I think we don't know our true identity. So I think somewhere I had read about, I think we have this identity crisis. Indians, we have identity crisis. So we try to create an identity of Indians. We try to create an identity of Hindi speaking population. So we keep fighting. I mean, there are conflicting things, right? I mean, one try to impose one identity, and we want to retain
Correct.
another identity with which we have an attachment. So I think this thing, the internal conflicts, if I can say, has not given us time to evolve some kind of national consciousness or something, which happened during the freedom struggle.
Correct, sir.
So there was a common enemy, and we were able to evoke, create awareness, right? So that awakening was there. So now I think it has become complex. So every man is an island, every individual is an island. Every culture tries to overpower other culture within the Indian subcontinent. I think it has created complexity, even for governments to come up with a proper textbook, or to come up with its own version of history. Correct, it has become difficult.
Correct. Fair enough, sir. And sir, basically Indian philosophy has always balanced itself. If you take the words of Bhagavad Gita, or if you take the words of Swami Vivekananda, it has always balanced itself with spiritualism and materialism. It has never emphasized one over the other. But the problem what is happening with most of our youth is, unfortunately, spiritualism, when you tell about spiritualism, they attach it to religion. Because spiritualism is something far beyond that. So that is a realization I don't think the youths are getting to, or they are getting the clarity of that. What do you think about this, sir? Spiritualism.
So spirituality is more, again, personal, right? Again, it is self-discovery. Spirituality, discovering your own spirit, right? What is that spirit about? What is your true nature? So we try to, there was a essay topic, I remember, so spirituality is outsourced to technology, right? For example, we try to be spiritual through technology. We are outsourced, again, we try to, as you rightly said, we try to discover about ourselves in the name of spirituality through religion also, right? Maybe through chanting and through following certain scriptures. So I think there is no fixed way for it, the spiritual awakening. One can travel to a distant place and be spiritual, discover the true self. So one can follow their passion. It can be hobby, interest, or something. Through that, they can be spiritual, and one can be perfectly fit into a job and be spiritual. It need not have any religious colors to it, right? So as you said, in India it is happening, because the so-called spiritual gurus, they are basically religious gurus, right? In the name of religion, in the garb of religion, they are trying to sell spirituality, and they to sell courses also, right? It has become a big market.
True.
Commercialization of spirituality in India is a big market. I think it should be, as I told you, we should go back to our childhood, right? Give freedom, like let people discover at that age what they want to be.
Correct, sir.
Give them freedom. If they want to become astronaut, let them become. If they want to become painter, let them become. If they lose interest, if they want to change their career. So we don't have that freedom, we don't have freedom to change our career. We don't have freedom to take risks in our life. So everything is conformed to certain rules and regulations. Maybe because of religion, because of our own culture and our own society, how it has evolved. It's a complex mix of, things in India.
So basically, what we would like to tell is the basic personalization of spiritualism is people like APJ Abdul Kalam ji, or Rabindranath Tagore ji, or Mahatma Gandhi ji. So these people are actually spiritual, and they are the actual examples of what spiritualism is.
Exactly.
So they're not attached to one religion, or they're not telling that religion is equivalent to spiritualism. Yes, religion is definitely a very good part of it, but spiritualism is far beyond
religion is just another medium.
Yes.
To attain spiritual awakening, or spiritual knowledge. So
yes.
the APJ Abdul Kalam, I think they are the true spiritual people, definitely.
And also, sir, so India has always maintained that culture. For example, if you go to any hospitals, the first thing that you're going to see within an hospital, though it is all scientific and medical, you're going to see a Ganesha idol there. So that shows that there is a respect for that spiritualism within that hospital. That shows that there is a respect for all spirits within that. Or if you take the recent incident of ISRO scientists, before the launch of the rocket, they went to the temple to make sure that the prayers are done. So that reflects spiritualism. That need not always confine itself to the religion. So the youths have to realize that spiritualism is something that will make you centered. It will give you that purpose in life. So that is something that we are missing.
So ultimately, I think spirituality boils down to being a good individual.
Yes,
right.
sir.
I mean, being good individual, not conforming to what society expects out of us, conforming to certain universal values and principles. Being humble, being truthful, being honest, and being helpful, and in some cases, like being selfless. So I think the spiritual journey is to discover the goodness within us, the good values. It is there, like, nobody is born bad or nobody is born criminal, right? So they are embedded within us. So what is happening is that we are not allowed to practice them. We are not allowed to discover them owing to so many circumstances. Like poverty can make someone criminal or make someone good also. Right. So we have seen in most criminal cases, there is some kind of history. There is some kind of, not necessarily only poverty. So there is some kind of exploitation. There is some kind of
Abuse.
discrimination, abuse. Right. So what happens? It limits your spiritual journey. Right. So these are the extreme cases. So ultimately, the spiritual journey is about, if not useful to the society, just be a good individual. So now what is happening after discovering our vices within us, based on the distractions and other things. So we want to become better individual.
Very true. Sir, we spoke about the spiritualism and the materialism aspect. One more dimension of this philosophy and how it's influencing our behavior is with respect to collectivism and individualism. So basically, the Indian philosophy has always spoken about collectivism. But if you take the individualism aspect, is something that is coming inside. As we have spoken already, the showmanship was not there in India, but now the showmanship is now taking its spotlight in India, mainly because of the Western influences. So what do you think, sir? Is this good? Because with individualism is not all bad. When individualism comes, the entrepreneurship, the risk-taking abilities, the ambitions, the goals, all these are coming together. But is that isolating an individual from the social gatherings and interaction? And is it leading to that mental pressure, the mental trauma, the depression, what we see? What do you think about it, sir?
Society has so many benchmarks, right? I mean, when you are individualistic, you want to achieve certain things, get into best university, become an entrepreneur, create $1 billion company, or get into IAS, like big jobs. So that I think that is there is nothing wrong with individual ambitions. But individualism is not limiting or not preventing people from, I think, attending any marriage function or anything. What it is doing is it is preventing people from participating for a cause.
Correct, sir.
Right. So the individualism, that is a big danger that we are seeing. You cannot go on protest. You don't want to go on protest. You can protest on Twitter and sit at home. Right. So you don't want to get into street, fight for justice, or you don't want to voice your anger against certain injustice. So what is happening is that individualism is creating more and more comfort zones from where we can achieve things. The services. I mean, all the technologies. The Swiggy, within half an hour it comes. Amazon.
Very true, sir.
Within one day things can come. Education, your internet, it can give you all the knowledge that you want. So some of the services, most of the services, not some of the services, even government or whatever it is, you can get it done from your home. So what this is doing to an individual, as you said, in a way that it is limiting their participation, right? In addition to that, so you also talked about one more thing.
Sir, that isolation is creating the mental pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So that is very much true, actually. So man ultimately is a social being, right?
Yes.
So social animal. I believe in being in a group and being with good individuals all the time. So I think no man is an island. right? So howsoever he tries to live in solitude or tries to achieve things individualistically, I think that won't give you him or her satisfaction. So when you whatever you want to do, it should ultimately have certain social good also. It may be for your individual satisfaction, but it has certain social utility. So I think then it will have certain meaning. So I think coming out and going out, making more friends, participating in activities for a cause, may not be for a cause. So I think that will create a more vibrant society. And also what is happening because of individualism is that the politicians are capitalizing on this, right? So they are holding on to power because of this particular nature of individuals now. They know that they won't come and fight against us.
Correct, sir.
Right. So they are in the comfort zone. Even decision making for them, it should be easy, right? It should not be complicated. So in urban areas, you see the lowest voting turnout. Right, it's not because of sunlight or it's not because of anything. It's because of this cynicism, they have developed, right? And they have withdrawn from the, participation in these things. So what it is doing is we are sending idiots, incapable people, criminals to our parliaments and legislature because this growing individualism.
They are playing on the gullibility of the people.
And also these people, like, those who are individualistic, they think that they have nothing to do with the government. I will learn something, I will pay taxes. As soon as I pay tax, I am done with the government. So I have everything to, for me, whatever needed to, for my individual ambition, I have everything. So this is also helping politicians, right? So you elect anyone, right? They know that they can give ticket to any criminal, spend money, get elected. So it is creating more of autocratic regimes. Democracies are
the urban apathy, what they call. I think it is now spreading from urban to other areas also.
No, it is spreading to rural areas. It will spread to rural areas also. So because of the first point which we were discussing, still the ideology is very strong. So because of that ideological fight, people come and vote in more numbers in rural areas. And also for them it has become a ritual, voting in elections. And in villages the culture is still vibrant. These festivals, fairs, they keep happening. So I think it's long way to go where we start seeing individualistic individualism in rural areas in India, I think.
Fine, sir. So I think I know we have had a good discussion. So first, to just strike a parallel between the Western philosophy and the Eastern philosophy. If you take Western philosophy, one of the most important golden rule that we always hear is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But the same thing we have in the Mahabharata in the Eastern philosophy that says Atmana Pratikulani Parishani Samacharit. That means the same thing. Okay, what the Western philosophy is telling. The same thing has been told by Vivekananda also in the Vedanta philosophy also, that what we need to do, we should be careful that it should be the same thing that we expect from others also. So taking the Western and Eastern philosophy together, what, as you told, sir, we always have to, there is nothing called West or East. It is always about the interests. It is always about the common good. Which serves the common good, you absorb it. Which is very regressive in nature, you refine it. So overall, that is the takeaway of the philosophical aspect of today's discussion. Do you think it is right, sir?
No, that is right. Every invention, every discovery, every philosophy, every ideology should strive to make this world a better place to live, rather than creating more divisions among people, among nations, among cultures. So I think if all of them serve together to make people better in terms of their developing their character. So I think the world will be a far better place to live, and we will have less conflicts and what we call as the human development. So I think it will be equitable. So every nation will enjoy that kind of human development.
Yes, sir. Sir, finally, what my idea is how we have evolved with respect to values is, initially when we were evolving from nomadic to agriculture, we more focused on intelligent quotient. Intelligence was something that was thriving. Then after intelligence was saturated, then when the evolution of humans came, now at the current day's world, it is more valued of emotional quotient. We are valuing the emotional intelligence of an individual. So with the coming of artificial intelligence, do you think the philosophy will change now? An individual with intelligence quotient and emotion quotient is there, but there has to be that spiritual quotient also in an individual, sir. What is your take on that? Do you think that is going to be the future?
The quantum computing, right? Quantum computing still, I think the research is going on. They are trying to create a quantum computer, right? The workable one.
Correct.
So I think when it becomes reality, so what we call superposition, entanglement in quantum computing, so they will help computers and artificial intelligence evolve in such a way that they'll start emoting. I mean, they will have emotions.
So emotions and intelligence is taken care by the computers.
When
we differentiate ourselves only with the spiritual aspect then.
Exactly. So when computers start show emotions, start showing emotional intelligence and maybe develop consciousness also for a period of time, I think to compete with them, so we won't be competing with getting tasks done, or that is where we are using computers to get things done fast, swiftly, in a large scale. So I think that won't be the case. So the competition will be to become, I think, more better individuals, or to develop more better consciousness, I think. So it's a gray area, like we don't know what is going to happen. I think I keep hearing now and then this Yuval Noah Harari podcast, and even Elon Musk, and there are other people who talk about the future of how they are going to impact. So I think whenever we think about these things, we forget the billions of other people who don't have any means, like even the basic necessities they don't have. So I keep wondering what will happen to those people. They will become slaves, I believe. They'll be enslaved because they will be lacking education even after decades. They'll be lacking basic not basic intelligence, whatever is required to earn better livelihood. So I think they will push to disastrous level of slavery, and very modern slavery will emerge out of this. That is my fear. So only people who have developed their skills and have access to all these great technologies, I think it will create a separate class of people. Yesterday I was reading a tweet from a Canadian lady. She is Indian, and her tweet is about other Indians coming to Canada. Right now, 70s, 80s, her parents came, and they were people of class. They came for education, and they spoke English. They developed etiquette, the Western etiquette, and cleanliness. Right. So she was saying that nowadays we see the rural people, rural Indians coming here, spoiling our beaches, not maintaining cleanliness. She was saying, I think the classism is good. I think there should be division based on the classes, right? And these people should not be allowed to come into Canada or something like that. So I think this is what is happening now. So the people from villages, they are also aspirational, they also have ambition. Correct. They also want better life. So they may slowly learn these etiquettes and culture, also so-called Western culture.
Overall, what we are trying to tell is the philosophy all tells the same thing. The ends is what matters, and the end is if we are able to become a good human being. I think that is.
So I am also influenced by this Advaita philosophy, right?
Very true,
and also there is one concept given by Jiddu Krishnamurti regarding the consciousness. So this is something I think related to Advaita philosophy. You may correct. I mean, those who are viewing us. It's about there is one single consciousness in the universe.
Correct.
It
Sir.
is that like we are all sharing. Like your consciousness, my consciousness is same.
Correct, sir.
Right. So if I am harming you, if I am insulting you, I am insulting and harming my own consciousness.
Very true, sir.
So if everyone is aware of this very simple fact of life, I mean, I don't know if it is fact.
No, it is actually a matter of fact, sir. Like we are all interlinked.
We are all interlinked.
Part of this earth.
So if we become aware of this, we will never harm any individual.
Correct.
We will never insult. We will never bring pain to any other individual. Right. So I think that also has impacted me hugely. Like I try to live as much as trying to help others and not to harm others. So there are so many things to learn from Indian philosophy.
100%, sir. 100%. I think we are moving into a stage where there is so less tolerance, there is so much of hatred. I think there has to be some way where the values of Indian philosophy must be propagated in a way, especially to the youth, so that the tolerance and the assimilation capacity that we had.
There should be people in parliament who are aware of these philosophies.
Yes, sir.
Who can talk about these philosophies to the law, because they have the reach.
Yes, exactly, sir.
We need celebrities who are aware of these philosophies. We need influential people, big people, who are so-called well-educated. What we put, well-educated. I think the well-educated means this only. I think who are well aware of themselves, aware of all these philosophies, and yes. everything, culture, history, and everything, so that they should strive to make a society a better place.
Sure, sir. So we request you people to take pride in yourself, in your roots, in your values, as well as the Indian philosophy. I hope it was helpful for all of you guys. Sir, final words to our viewers.
So final words, and thank you so much, Sudeep, for this is our second edition and second episode, and he came up with this brilliant idea. So earlier I used to do podcast. It was more of like personal, sharing personal experiences from my life. I think more than that, I always wanted to share my own ideas and thoughts, which are like evolving.
Correct, sir.
I don't think these are like so matured or anything. I think they are still evolving, as we understand. Conversations like this give us opportunity to understand our own shortcomings as well as what we know best, and sometimes they bring the best out of us also.
Very true, sir.
So let us continue to do this, and I hope you will come up with another very interesting and thought-provoking topic next time. Thank you, Sudeep. Thank you.
Thank you so much again, sir. And thank you guys. Please tune in, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.